gentlemen, welcome to Walking with J.Beau. We're across the street from an old hamburger drive-in joint built in 1959. Used to be A&W root beer, one of those nationwide chains, and then it was bought privately in the 70s. So it's been there since 1959. I've mentioned this on my walks before, so bear with me. This is for newer viewers. So the first thing I want to talk about today on my walking vlog, an almost daily walking vlog, is I want to say thank you very much for the kind replies on my little video I made as an homage to Paul Harrell, gun aficionado and self-professed professional. And what's interesting about him passing, what I've noticed online, is he's getting new viewers to watch his old videos, because he was like one of the best kept secrets that should have had multi-million-dollar subscriber accounts. And it wasn't until he was diagnosed with cancer that his account went over 1 million subscribers. And I just can't wrap my head around that, because quite honestly, he was my favorite channel. I think he was much better at presentations and everything else than Hickok 45. Now, Hickok 45 is a different kind of thing. I like Hickok 45 because he's got no BS on there. He doesn't run commercials at the beginning of his broadcast, and it just starts off with him there, you know, and there's no edits, there's no cuts. So when you see him go to fire and forgets the safety on, that reminds everybody that even people that have been shooting for a long time, we all do that. It's human nature. The point is the safety was on, right? So anyway, thanks everybody for coming by to say something nice on that video. We will push on and be good stewards. That's one of the main things I got from Paul Harrell, was to be a good steward as a gun owner, to promote responsible gun ownership, which is why I'm going to talk about that shooting in Georgia after reviewing the charges and circumstances. It's clearly evident that the parent was not a good parent. That kid, who was 14, should not have had an AR-15. It should have been locked up in any case. And I'm a firm believer in, when you have kids, they have to move on up on merit with firearms. You should start them out. Ooh, look at this traffic jam. Rush hour. You should start them out on a BB gun when they're young, and not even let them keep that to use on their own. You take the BB gun out when they go to the range with you, or if you want to take them BB gun shooting and you bring one as well, so the kid feels equal. They can learn proper gun safety, loading, unloading, having a safety, muzzle control, muzzle discipline, trigger discipline. BB guns are really good for all of that, especially with eye protection, maybe even clothing protection. And what I mean by that is you have thicker clothing than you usually would wear in case there's an accidental discharge with the BB gun. You can teach a lot of basics with the BB gun, like you could have something you're shooting at and have a discussion with the kid about ricochets, bullets coming back at you. And you could explain to them that it's the same thing with real bullets as it is with BBs, more or less. And that if you do something like fire a shotgun that has steel shot in it rather than lead shot, because many states prevent you from hunting birds with lead shot, that hard BBs, which is what steel shot is, can come back at you very fast and hurt you. So it's very important to teach those things to kids while they're learning about firearms with something that's not going to kill them. But if they make a mistake, it may hurt. And sometimes getting hurt is a good teacher. Like the time I was cutting through a turnip with the Psycho knife that Michael Myers would have on Halloween, and I almost cut my own thumb off. I still can't even believe I did that, but that was many years ago. And the point being is I do not cut turnips the same way any longer. Anyway, we all learn life's lessons, and unfortunately, when you learn one with a firearm, often it can be devastating, and it can be something you can't take back, and there's no do-overs. So this guy had a 14-year-old kid. When he was 13 years old, thanks. It's okay. See that? She almost ran me over. I knew she was going to do that, though. That's why you saw me stop. Hope you noticed that. Those little things like that you pick up on. You can read people really well. She was really interested in getting to go where she was going. She's in a hurry. And, you know, those are the kind of people that roll through stop signs rather than stopping. And then if they get pulled over for it, they get angry. What are you harassing me for? Everybody does it. Anyways, back to the kid with the firearm. So the local sheriff in a different town, okay, I should add, at the time they lived in a different town, from what I read. If I'm wrong on that, please correct me. And the kid was on Discord, which is a kind of sort of like a private server. And they have a lot of open source software where a lot of the people on there kind of police themselves. It's a free speech platform. And so anyway, this kid had made some kind of reference. I didn't see the post he made, that he kind of inferred doing a school shooting when he was 13 a year ago. So the police were contacted, which is what you should do. And the police showed up at their house. I saw the footage from that visit. And the father was agreeing with the police. If true, that really makes me angry. It pisses me off. And well, okay, that's great. Your kid doing that made you angry and it pissed you off. You couldn't verify if he did it or not. The kid said it wasn't him and there was no way to prove it. So, but what would you do as a parent? You would have that in the back of your head when you're buying an AR-15 for your freaking kid that happened to. So, bad decisions were made by the parent, and consequently he's getting charged with a lot of crimes: endangering children, manslaughter, child endangerment, they're throwing the book at him. And it's a Republican prosecutor, so I don't disagree with what they're doing. He said on that video to the cop a year ago that all these firearms are locked up, he does not have access to them. So he buys the kid an AR-15, and obviously the kid had access to them. And I guess after a subsequent questioning and investigation, that's when they charged him. So I don't think it was a case where the kid figured out how to get into where they were locked up. I think it was just told to the officers that the kid was trusted to have the rifle, and so he was charged. Now, from what I understand with Georgia law, from what little I read, that it is not illegal for minors to use firearms. It is illegal for them to buy them, and it is not required by law that they must lock up firearms away from minors. So, as far as I know. If I'm wrong on that, again, let me know. I'm not perfect, I'm not an expert. Trust but verify, blah, blah, blah. The last thing I want you to do is take the word for something from somebody on YouTube who sounds like they may know or may not know what they're talking about. So anyway, with that out of the way, the kid killed some people. Now, what really burns my biscuits about this whole thing is that there were two SROs, resource officers, school resource officers on campus. They coordinated and they put an end to this shooting just as it was starting, by very bravely, I should add, confronting the shooter. And the shooter just decided, well, you know what, this probably doesn't feel as exciting as I thought it would, and I probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe he just realized the gravity of killing a couple of people. Probably thought he killed a lot more. He obviously was not very adept in marksmanship, because an AR rifle at point blank range, granted, he did wound some kids with some serious wounds, okay? Hit in the arm, the leg, whatever. There's a lot of velocity that comes out of there. I really hope it was full metal jacket and not hollow points. And so he killed 4. 2 of them were teachers, who, by the way, the teachers died because they were trying to protect the kids. So, you know, God bless them for that. That is very brave. I mean, what can you say to that? Really, that's just amazing. And it's sad that it happened, and it didn't have to happen. I don't know how many of these school shootings we have seen where the kid got access to a firearm, either from a relative or somebody they know, and either got it from them willingly or they stole it from them. Either way, you are responsible to a certain degree of your firearms with regards to minors. Like in Maine here, it's a law that if you have minors, you have to lock up your firearms. Because if a mass shooting happens and they use your firearm and you're in a house with minors, and that minor that lives there used it, you're going to be charged, and rightfully so. So, in the name of Paul Harrell, we need to we have to be good stewards of responsible gun ownership. And we have to promote gun safety, no matter how painful it is or how much ammunition, no pun intended, it gives Democrats. Point being, every time a shooting like this happens, and this is why it's important, not only do people get killed, which is the obvious plus of not having them, the other plus is the Democrats don't use it to pass legislation because public sympathy for those that were killed. Maine is a perfect example of that. We have constitutional carry here. We've had it since 2015. And the Democrats tried the fear-mongering stuff in 2014 into 2015. It's going to be a Wild West. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be the Wild West. People are going to be shooting everybody all the time, and you're giving people a license to just do what they please. Well, that never happened. In fact, Maine is in the top 5, I think, of the least amount of violent crime. So, I mean, those are just facts. So the point being is they passed a 72-hour waiting period in Maine when you buy a firearm. And we also saw a national law that you have to be 21 or older to buy a firearm. And also in Maine, they changed the yellow flag law a little bit to be more of a red flag law, but not quite. So all of these things were done as a direct result. Hi, hiya, how you doing? Hi, hi baby. Don't go out and run in the road. Have a good day. So anyway, I got a couple of excited little dogs out there playing on the grass. If it was me, I'd be nervous to get squished by cars. I would be too overprotective of little dogs. So anyway, we ended up with having those gun laws passed because of the mass shooting we had. And the reason why I say I know that is these same laws, the Democrats tried to pass them last year. And they weren't able to. So they weren't able to because Democrats own firearms here and they don't want their firearms messed with. So they had a whole bunch of anti-gun legislation on the docket again that they regurgitated from last year. And 2 of them passed out of the 7 they tried to pass. So most of them didn't pass again, but they passed 2 that have nothing to do with preventing mass shootings. The 72-hour waiting period has more to do with somebody wanting to do something violent or committing suicide. And they would have a 3-day cooling period waiting for the firearm they went and bought. So again, they would still be able to buy the firearm. They're just going to be delayed what they're going to do by 3 days, and you have to hope that maybe they'll cool down and forget the whole thing. Well, this kid's been obsessing about mass shooting since last year, so it might save a couple of suicides. But again, it takes away from the rights of the single female who has no protection, never thought she'd want a gun, and now she has somebody she dated a couple times who's threatening to kill her, and she has no protection, and she wanted to go get a gun, and now she has to wait 3 days and hope that that guy doesn't show up or stay with a relative or whatever. That is denying her Second Amendment right. I believe there is going to be a lawsuit filed against the waiting period on those grounds. So, anyway, I think that's all I got on that topic. Basically, that father did a bad job with that kid. Now, the other thing that came out, and it's like, here we go again, right? This kid was upset that the LGBTQ alphabet, a whole bunch of other stuff, plus A, XYZ, whatever they have on there now. This kid was like upset that transgender rights were not being respected. And I guess this kid was part of the gay transgender cult and decided to go shoot some people because of bigotry against trans people. So, there's two reasons why this has fallen out of the media so quickly, almost overnight. That's one of them. The other one is that it was revealed that the FBI was aware and had this kid on radar, as they say, since last year. So this is another mass shooter that was on the FBI's radar, yet he did some mass shooting. So I think for those two reasons, that's why it fell out of the news cycle. I didn't see much about it today. All I saw today was the other thing I'm going to talk about next, is how Trump's sentencing has been delayed until after the election. Judge Merchant, in French it would be Merchant, delayed sentencing till November 27th. Knowing fully that Trump is going to appeal that, and I believe that's probably going to be effective. The appellate court is not like the regular circuit courts. There was an immunity ruling by the Supreme Court. Some of the evidence used to convict Trump came from posts he made on social media as president on the official president count. So we got those issues coming up, and so we're not going to have a sentencing before the election, which goes along with what I was saying about that seer. That seer had predicted Trump getting shot in the ear. He said Trump's eardrum would get broken. That didn't happen, but the point was, he said Trump would get shot in the ear, and Trump would drop down on the stage, be covered with Secret Service, and at that moment, while he's bleeding on his knees, he will find a new relationship with the Lord. That's what he said. He also said that Trump was going to win the election because the MAGA people are going to show up and voters are going to show up and they will vote for him. He made no mention of who his opponent would be. That would have been really interesting if he would have said his opponent was Kamala Harris, because Biden was going to resign, which was before when Biden resigned, when he predicted this. But he predicted Trump was going to get shot 3 months before he was shot. So that's crazy. That is crazy. Too much of a coincidence to not be true. I hope he's right. And so anyway, the other case is the J6 case in Washington, D.C. The insurrection trial, which isn't an insurrection trial. That's what I'll call it. The judge wanted to have this over with by now and have Trump's trial already. And it is a federal court, so they're not going to have televised again. So, which is really unfortunate, because from what I've seen, reporters that were in there said that Judge Chutkan, a black woman appointed by Obama, is taking the opportunity in the courtroom, with the courtroom filled with a bunch of Trump haters, to disparage Trump and make snide remarks, getting laughter from the crowd. And she's not being impartial whatsoever. So Trump is going to get screwed in that trial. She's going to withhold evidence from the jury that exonerates him, just like they did with New York with the hush money payment. And he's not going to get a fair trial in DC. And she said that she knows fully that Trump is going to delay this trial. She's not happy about it. She's been trying to try him on this since last year. And they are going to have this evidentiary session, decide what evidence is for immunity and what isn't. And she's having a great time trashing Trump while she's on the bench. You know, innocent until proven guilty in America, all that. It doesn't matter with Democrats. They're bullshit, they're crooked, they're dishonest, un-American, unconstitutional. And that case is going to go away too, because they are going to have to charge him on what they would charge civilians with, which the Supreme Court has also ruled that many of these J6 prisoners were unjustly jailed, tried and convicted under a statute that was not intended for that purpose, and they abused the courts. So this is getting out of hand because of Trump and Trump hate and Trumpism, without realizing that Trump represents us. So what they're really doing is saying they hate us, which they do. And we are going to have to see how this shakes out. And it will shake out. But I don't see any legal stuff happening between now and the election. It looks like that's all gone, just like that seer I was just talking about said would happen. He also said the legal stuff's all going to go away, and Trump's going to win the election. So, that's what he said. I believe him. I do. I usually don't believe a lot of stuff like that, but he had too much information, okay? That's all I'm going to say about it. He's a religious person, and he's not a liar. Now, that doesn't mean the guy's not a fraudster, but that's a pretty wild story to whip out of thin air and then actually have happen and come true. So, really strange. That's all I'm saying. Believe it or not, that's up to you. Remember that show, Believe It or Not? I used to like that show. So, that's what we have going on now, today. So with that, we do have the debate coming up. I guess Kamala reluctantly agreed to the rules. She did not want the mics to be able to be shut off. She wanted the mic on. That was obviously going to be her main tactic to attack Trump. ABC's explanation is without saying it, what they did say was that they were afraid the Trump campaign would back out of the debate if we did that, if we granted her having the mics on, because of past debates that she's done, and that was her tactic. So they were afraid Trump was going to back out. So what does that tell you? Well, on its face, it tells you that ABC is interested in ratings and advertising money, knowing that millions and millions and millions of people globally would be watching that. And it also tells you that, to me anyway, it tells me that they know Kamala's behind and she needs to win this debate. And they know that her hiding from the media and not doing interviews is doing her a disservice, which it is. She went down another point in the polls. Even with the crooked polls, Kamala was leading by 5 points last month. Now she's leading by 1.5 points. So she's lost 3.5 points. That's going to continue to go down. It will after the debate as well. And at this point in 2 weeks, I fully expect her to be behind. 2 weeks after the debate. I think it's going to be the only debate also, unfortunately. But it might not be, because she might want to do a second debate if she performs poorly. And the ratings show, the polling shows that she's dropped. That was the whole point of Biden doing one so early with Trump. I don't think Trump wanted to do one early. But Biden started going with the chicken Trump, and so Trump was like, all right, we'll do it. And Trump didn't want to have the microphones turned off. It turns out that was the best thing that could have happened for him, because then Biden was allowed to speak and spew his foolishness. And that's going to be the tactic with Kamala. I still think ABC is going to leak the answers to her, the questions. And you're going to know, because they will have scripted answers ahead of time to answer these. She's going to sound rehearsed. That's what Hillary did in 2016 when she had the questions ahead of time. So that's what we're going to get with that. I'm going to cross the street here. We'll walk up this way. As you can see, it's a beautiful day today. So we're going to have just a debate coming up, no sentencing, no more legal stuff. The trial in DC had Trump's attorneys there. Trump wasn't there. Trump's not going to be tied up in a courtroom instead of campaigning 60 days out from the election. That would not sit well with the public, and it would appear, as they were, which we already know they're doing, that it is impropriety, election interference. So there we have that. So I guess enjoy the show. This friggin' Chutkin in Washington, D.C. is a very awful, dishonest judge who is not being just. She's actually being prejudiced, which is violating the constitutional rights of the client, the defendant, I should say. So, and this is very serious. Now, for example, okay, we're going to have an election. Trump wins. Let's say Trump wins. They have the sentencing November 27th, I believe. Guess what November 27th is? It is towards the end of towards the end. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but that guy looked like he was in a hurry, like it's some kind of emergency. Anyway, I don't seem to be much going on there. I just always watch stuff like that, because if it's somebody choking, I know how to fix that. I've already done it once. Saved somebody's life one time already. I'll do it again. I just don't want the opportunity to do it. So anyway, Chutkin in Washington, D.C. Crooked judge, dishonest. She's going to do exactly what they did in New York. Keep some information, exonerating evidence away from any jury they pick, which the jury is already going to want to hang Trump. And they do. It's in Washington, D.C. I think Trump got 3% of the vote in Washington, D.C. Something crazy like that. And I think Biden got 93 or 97% of the vote, so Trump was there with an independent probably on the ballot. He finished at the bottom, okay? There's no secret. Washington, D.C. are all liberal, leftist. It's leftist la-la land. So he's not going to get a fair trial there. And what he did wasn't a crime to begin with. So, but that didn't matter in New York either. So they're going to find him guilty on that. They'll make it happen. Now here's the thing for me, okay? The J6 trial is pretty unlikely that it would happen before Trump would be sworn in January after winning the election. But it could. I don't know what they're going to do to expedite it. I know Trump is going to appeal different things that were done on certain grounds. That'll have another court date. So we may not see any legal stuff until after he's sworn in when he wins the election, or after he loses the election. So I'm going to stay positive. I don't believe somebody goes through everything they have done to him like this, try to kill him, only to lose the election. I can't imagine that. So I really can't picture that. Somebody makes an iconic, historic moment like that with one of the most historic photographs ever taken relative to something like, you know, raising the flag on Iwo Jima, things like that. So we got a whole team. There they go. Now, the reason why I just stopped and recorded that is I wanted you to see what Americans really feel like with regard to gender and all this stuff. We just had a set of men leading in the front, okay? It wasn't women leading the pack, it was men. They had the whole group of men, and then they had the whole group of women. Now, these are all Bates College students. These are all a liberal arts college. They're all probably on the left, with the exception of a few. And we just saw that they divided sex by class and gender. And that is the thing I've been talking about on my walks. If you just pay attention to things right in front of your face, the majority of the public does not ascribe to this friggin' gender ideology bullshit. They just don't. So over here we have a Harris Wall sign. See that? Right there. Thumbs down on that. There's confused individuals wherever you go. I remember a Biden sign on this person's lawn last time. So she'll have another one. She'll have a Walls. Harris Walls sign on her lawn here pretty soon. I guarantee it. And this part of the neighborhood here is the liberal part of the neighborhood. A lot of these people are associated with the college that these string of students just went by. Cross-country skiing training. So, anyway, I just thought that was interesting how they just naturally separate genders. But then when they're on social media or they're talking to people that are liberals, they have to pretend with all the pronoun horse shit and things like that. And yes, I just said that. Tired of these people. So, anyways, we're just going to have to debate with Trump, and that's it. And voting. Voting starts 2 days after the debate, I believe, in Pennsylvania. Early voting. So that's going to start early. It's unfortunate that they do that. But to be honest with you, if we're not going to have any more debates coming up, we do have the vice presidential debate coming up in October. And you know, it's one of those things where it's personal choice. If you want to wait to turn your ballot in, that's fine. But from what I have seen, people on the ground in Pennsylvania that talk to people every day, Trump's leading. And this is going to be very important because I'm sincerely hoping people are not going to cheat like they did in 2020 with the pandemic. They don't have a pandemic to use this time. There's no emergency powers in play. There's nothing, okay? So that's one of those things where this should be a little easier for Trump to win this time. And the reason why I say that is, you know damn well somebody's going to cheat, but is it going to be in big enough numbers? And that's really the important thing to try to figure out from that. You know, because what it comes down to is the big cities in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia especially. Philadelphia is notoriously for cheating in elections. They're going to have a bunch of these inner city people volunteering for election night, and they have legally passed legislation and lawsuits that were won that they're not going to be able to obstruct what's going on with the counting. Republicans are going to be able to observe the counting. So that's really important, because then you're not going to have people taking the same stack of ballots and running them through a dozen times to multiply the votes. And that's what happened in 2020. The media says it's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that ever happened. Well, nobody ever looked, and the evidence that there was not seen by the courts. They refused to even look at the case. So, no evidence was seen. There certainly was no evidence. They didn't present it in court as evidence. So, anyways, that being said, it's going to be a hell of a thing coming up. Now here's the good news. Let's say they cheat just like they did in 2020, and they steal Pennsylvania from Trump, and they steal Wisconsin, and they steal Michigan. Trump can still win. That's the thing. If he wins Georgia and North Carolina, they would have to cheat in Georgia, North Carolina. They would have to cheat in Nevada, probably Arizona too. They would have to cheat in Wisconsin, Michigan. Minnesota is going to go to Kamala anyway, to be honest with you. She's got a pretty good lead there, an honest lead. And Michigan's closer to being tied, but I do believe Trump is leading there by a smidge. And also, like I said, a lot of the polling, I believe, is off by about 5 points, where they have Trump underperforming where he really is. So, and I'm only basing that on the last 2 elections. They did the same thing. Nobody has changed their polling. It's still the same. And in fact, I think it would probably be more inaccurate now because they're using the same models they've always used. With all the technology we have and information that's out there now, I just really cannot honestly see Kamala winning this election without cheating. And I'm just saying that ahead of time. So over here, we got another Harris wall sign that's out. So this is that neighborhood. And these are the same lawns that had the Biden signs in 2020, I should add. They also had the Democrat signs in 2022. Same lawns. So there's like nothing new. They are the vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who. So I hope you enjoyed that short video of these young people out cross-country skiing on the roads. I enjoyed it. Bunch of young, healthy people. Here's our little Mr. Roboto over here. I don't know if it's just me, but that thing don't look healthy. Looks like it's moving slower. It looks confused. It's going around in circles. That model right there by Husqvarna, if you look it up on Amazon, sells for about $2 grand. So somebody's having some work done on their house. Not as beautiful today as it was yesterday, but we'll take it. It's not raining. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Kind of interesting stuff, I think. right. Moving along. Just hit 3 miles. According to my girlfriend that lives in my phone, talking in my ear through my app, she told me I just did 3 miles. Uh-oh, another Harrison wall sign. Harrison wall sign warning. Right there. There it is, right there. This is that stretch I was telling you about a few weeks ago. I told you we were going to see those signs in this neighborhood. Now we'll go walking in other neighborhoods around here and there'll be Trump signs. So, very interesting, no matter how you slice it. And this person here has got flags, but no signs. And I gotta tell you, from personal experience, I do not feel comfortable putting a Trump sign out on the lawn, because both times that I've done that, somebody went and messed around with it twice. So people suck. I don't know how much the lawn signs really do anything, because most of the stuff today is done on the internet, and it does show more of a go with the crowd kind of thing, because you see all these other people with signs. It's kind of a camaraderie thing. But you know, Trump supporters are used to getting punched in the face, spit on, fired, you know. So now the sun's not out today, so I'm getting little bugs buzzing around under my baseball cap visor. They're looking for my sweat on my brows, which I am sweating. It is warm today. Now up ahead here we have a little stretch of liberal stuff on the left, and we have one house on the right that always has Republican signage. So we'll see if they have a Trump sign up yet. They may. We'll see soon enough. We'll see up over yonder. Kids are all playing on the playground. It's nice. They didn't have any movie nights out here this year. They did them in Auburn, and they also did them at another location. Dogs got all kinds of energy. Nope, I don't see any Trump sign yet. Nope, they don't have their Trump sign out yet. It's that house right there. Our Republicans live there. You can tell because they got nice flags flying. USA flags. All right. Usually what you'll see is you'll see Trump flags instead of lawn signs, because lawn signs get ripped off because liberals like to put their thumb on the scale and cheat at just about everything. They cheat at just about everything. Well, these leaves here are turning colors. It's going to be a beautiful leaf peeping season this year. We're definitely going to do more than one leaf peeping walk. You have been forewarned. Excuse me. .5. That don't make sense. Well, actually it does. That's the route I took today. Alright. Normally 3.5 wouldn't be up till I head more that way, but we did a different route today. This is the 6-mile route today. I can walk for miles and miles. can walk for miles and miles. Alright. Bates College is right there. This is a liberal area. The liberales live here. It's like they congregate in little clusters, you know what I mean? They're tribal. Very tribal. If you want to see tribal, visit the social media app Tribal, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Just about everybody on there is a liberal. It's pure hell. I looked at it for 10 minutes and said, well, I've seen enough. You already know you're going to get censored, kicked off, banned, blocked, suspended. Have a nice day. I'm all set with that. Enjoy your little psycho bubble. Right. Float on over to the right here. Yep, so that's what's going on with all that stuff that I can think of. There's been some legal victories as far as transgender stuff goes with minors. There's been some positive things happening. But basically, Trump is on record and he promised that he is going to defund any school that pushes transgender ideology and gender ideologies. And we need Congress to pass things for that too. So, another thing you can use as an indicator for the election is, generally speaking, the public does not like to give the president that wins full power to do whatever the hell they want. So voters kind of subconsciously, when they vote, that's how they vote. Like if they vote for Trump, a lot of times the congressman is not voted for or similar, or you'll get an independent that will vote for Trump and they won't vote for the Republican congressman or woman. And because the public a lot of times will have a general consensus on who they wish would win, and if they did, what tools they would want to have. That's why I think the election was stolen in 2020, because Biden ended up with Congress. And if Trump was going to win, they would have had a Democrat Congress to keep Trump more honest. I'm just saying that's the thinking that voters use. So, and then in 2022, the Democrats won the Senate, but they lost the House. So again, that's the public making changes by how things are going. And unfortunately, the Republicans have spent too much time fighting with each other, leaving a bad taste in the mouth of the public. And it was to the point where they really didn't even need media propaganda to badmouth Republicans to show that to the public. I was very disappointed. They didn't unify until Trump said, hey, you guys got to cut this out or we're not going to win. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was causing problems with all kinds of things, and Trump asked her to cut it out, and she has. So it absolutely serves no purpose to divide your own caucus, you know? You're helping the Democrats when you do that, so. We need to fix the Republican Party, I guess is my point. And, you know, we have Austin Terrio here running for Congress against Jared Golden, and I just don't think he's going to beat Jared Golden. And I'm only saying that because Austin Terrio is about as exciting as a plate of pasta with no sauce on it. He's not very charismatic. I'm sure his heart is in it, but he's laid back, he doesn't talk, and I don't think he's leaving a good impression with people. But that's who the Trump campaign chose. Now, Sobolewski was a better speaker, but he was a rhino, so I couldn't support him. I'm never going to support somebody like that, regardless. It's like Susan Collins. I'm never going to vote for her again. She has to go. I will weigh that decision on what it looks like when she's running again, to what the Senate would look like if she lost. That's what I'm going to base it on. So, bye. So anyways, I'm going to head on up the road. So we got Jared Golden, who voted to impeach Trump, wanted to take our assault rifles and rifles, semi-automatic rifles is what he said. Hello, sir. How are you? So, sure as hell never going to vote for him. It'd be nice if he would lose. Now, the other thing too is I can't trust any of the polling I've seen in Maine. It's completely not trustworthy. They don't do it often enough on top of that. And the University of New Hampshire, you know, they had Kamala up 17 points over Trump in this district. I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? What did you call those people that we just walked by around Bates College? Trump won this district twice already. He'll win it again. He's actually polling better than he did in 2020, and he's polling better than he did in 2016. So don't tell me Kamala's going to win this district. That's a bunch of horse shit. It's a bunch of horse hooey. I'm gonna hang a left over here and get away from the traffic. So they are pulling all the stops. I have never seen the polling this bad. One poll, actually literally last week I saw one poll that had Trump 2 ahead in one state and they had Kamala ahead 7. Same poll during the same time period for the same state. There's 9 points difference between the two polls. It's like, what the hell is that? What I've noticed is New York Times, Siena, Reuters, AP, and Ipsos. New York Times, Siena, like I said, and Bloomberg. All of those always give Kamala 5 to 7 points more than they give Trump, than everybody else gives Trump. And then they go and mix all these in with the other results and you come up with an average and it affects the average. So, but the important thing to keep in mind, like I say all the time, is it's not based on the popular vote. So the polling that matters is the polling specifically in this election is basically it's Pennsylvania. All right, the only way Kamala can win is she has to have Pennsylvania, and if she doesn't, she has to steal North Carolina, which no Democrat has won, not even Joe Biden, since Obama in 2008. I don't anticipate anybody winning it anytime soon that's a Democrat, considering Kamala Harris is underperforming less than Biden did in 2020 by about 4, maybe 5 points. That's why Virginia technically is in play for Trump. Not likely, but it's in play. It's in play. Kamala's got 3 points. 3-point lead in Virginia. And when Biden was running, it was 14, I think. So she's down in all the blue states. All of the blue states that Biden won solidly, very easily, she's down. She's down in New York, she's down in California, she's down in everywhere. And that's going to matter in the battleground states. Because that's the whole point I'm making, okay? She's down everywhere 5 to 10 points from where Biden was. And we're supposed to believe that Trump, who is further up than he has been since 2016 and 2020, his numbers are actually better now than those 2 elections. So Kamala is performing under Biden. Trump is performing higher than he ever has. His approval is the highest it's ever been with the public. Kamala is down 5 to 7 points in all of the solid blue states that she's going to win anyway. Point being, she's down in those. And we have we're supposed to believe that the 6 battleground states are tied or Kamala's leading. Does that even make sense to you? When she's even leading in those states, underperforming from what Biden did in those states? You see what I'm saying? So if she's performing lower than Biden did in those battleground states, and Trump is performing better than he did before, why the hell is Kamala ahead in any of these states according to polling? So the polling is screwed up. It's just mathematically impossible. They either want to keep it close because they know they're going to cheat, which I really would hate to think that. Right? But that certainly is possible. I wouldn't put anything past these people. They absolutely do not want him to win at all costs. And we'll see what happens. I'm an optimist. I'm going to listen to the seer. And now, the last part of my conversation I'm going to discuss is Mr. Alan Leckman. Professor Alan Leckman. The guy in his late 60s, early 70s, who has been predicting, for the most part correctly, presidential elections since 1989. He's been right every time, except two. One of them was when Trump won. So, you know, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So the media runs this guy out. Like, it's like, okay, well, Kamala's got it in the bag. This guy says she's going to win. Which he did. He was going to wait till after Labor Day, which he did. Now, the problem I have is he uses these 13 keys. He calls them keys. Anybody that gets 5 or more of these keys is the projected winner of the election. Now, the problem is, as I'm looking at his list of keys, he doesn't consider Kamala an incumbent. That's the first thing to throw in the garbage from his prediction. She is an incumbent. Polling has shown that 69% of the public attribute her to the Biden-Harris campaign that has gotten us into the trouble we're in. Then he said there's no wars that we're involved in. I'm like, what? Are you friggin' mental? What do you think's going on in Israel and Iran and all, Middle East? That has, in Ukraine, that has nothing to do with Biden and Harris? The public says otherwise. So that's the second key we can take away from the 7 that he chose. 2 of them said the keys don't apply for whatever reason. The other thing his keys don't account for is Biden having dementia and resigning from the race, and Kamala being the vice president, being chosen as the candidate. And in our history, only one vice president running for office while holding the office of vice president has ever won an election. And that was back in 1849. Hi, baby. So, we have not had a vice president win an election there was only one in 1849. So this guy ignored that, and he also uses as one of his keys of likability of candidates, approval. And Trump won in 2016. More people approve of him now. As we look at the Halloween decorations. And Kamala Harris is not very well liked. And the way they do the polling for her is they fudge that too. Well, the Halloween decor is coming together. Still a few things laying over and lights being set up. They got all these extension cords out here and power lines, and what a headache. But it looks nice when they get it all done. Right now it's a wreck. So anyways, out of the 7 keys that he picked, I disagree with 3 of them. And you know, that puts Kamala underwater, in my opinion. I just think this guy, who is, by the way, a Democrat, and he hates Trump. He's been very clear about that, so there's that. And I just don't think he's being honest. In fact, I know he's not. So he also didn't include the other thing he didn't include is any internal strife or protesting or rioting. And I'm like, well, how can you look at the problem we're having with immigration and how people are very upset with it, and they associate Kamala Harris with Biden. How can that not factor into that, you know? Because he didn't even talk about it. He didn't talk about the border, immigration problems, nothing. So I think he's like with everything else that gets old. He's behind the times, and his methods do not account for the kind of election year we had. He had no metric in there for an attempted presidential assassination. How does that affect things? Nobody has polled for that. So I've seen interviews with him before. All right, I had to put in a fresh battery. But what I was saying is, what he does, and what I've seen him do, is he goes to RCP, which is a Real Clear Politics website, and he follows those polling averages, and he has admitted it before. Now, I've already told you those polling averages are bullshit. So he's using those, and he's also using a lot of the media that doesn't write truth anymore as guides for his keys. So he did not include the border crisis and immigration crisis, and how pissed off everybody is at that, and how much it's costing Americans in tax dollars and housing and a whole bunch of other things. You know, the other thing he said in his keys was how great the economy is doing. So are you effing freaking kidding me? The economy is not doing good. Inflation is killing everybody. So this guy's whole prediction is just complete bullshit. Are you enjoying the economy like you used to? No, you're not. Nobody can honestly say that. People's property taxes are going up, taxes are going up, food's gone up, fuel's gone up, heating fuel's gone up, everything's gone up. This freaking guy's insane. Well, that's what he used. That's what he used as a measure. So, which is bullshit, obviously. These people are crazy. So anyways, that's what we got these days. Be wrapping up this walk soon. I'll definitely have 6 miles in today, which is nice. We're gonna go shooting tomorrow morning. That'll be a lot of fun. So that guy that was predicting elections, he's going to be wrong this year. He's looking at it with a different lens than reality. And the polling is showing that the public is not supporting his theories. That's all I'm saying. It's not my personal belief. I base my stuff on common sense and what you can see with your own eyes. Polling and how inaccurate a lot of things are, especially with reporting. The gaslighting going on right now is at the highest level I've ever seen it. They don't want Trump to win. They just don't. They wanted this sentencing really badly. And I'm sure Judge Merchan wanted to sentence him very badly. But he realized the gravity of that. And that was a good choice by him to do that. Because I think somebody told him, you sentence Trump before the election, you're going to put him right in the White House. Because that's exactly what has happened. So the whole point of all this lawfare stuff was to end Trump's campaign and his chance of being president. And it looks like that failed. Because people aren't stupid. Some of the people are stupid. Some of the people are really stupid. So. And somebody famous once said, and I'm not sure who it was, it may have been Mark Twain or somebody like that, that no amount of facts is ever going to make a stupid person not stupid. So, stupid people are stupid for a reason, and they will remain as such. Getting factual information does not increase your IQ. So we're stuck with what we're stuck with. Now a lot of people, like I said, were predicting that the polls are going to tighten. Because historically that's what happens. But historically we haven't had people running for president this terrible. And the reason why I bring that up is Kamala Harris is polling under what Hillary polled in 2016, and she wasn't liked very much either. So these are all basic numbers, basic facts. Math doesn't lie. Kamala is not well liked. So that's what we have as facts as we see them. So we'll see what comes out of that. I think we're going to have good things happen. The really funny thing that happened yesterday, I thought, was Vladimir Putin said that he was rooting for Kamala to win. So Kamala got endorsed by Putin, and a lot of Democrats are very upset about that. They're trying to say he was just joking, and he may have been, I don't know, but it's pretty funny regardless. I do know that no matter what, Ukraine lost. That's really the tragedy of it. I think Zelensky knew that was going to happen. He tried to not have this war, and he was talked out of it by the West. Namely the White House and Boris Johnson in the UK at the time. And now they're down about 600,000 People killed. Cities are left in ruin. All that beautiful infrastructure they had has been destroyed. That's going to cost more than we gave them to fight Russia with to fix it. Thanks. So that's what's going on with that. And I'm going to cross over here. I'm going to cross over this way. Hello. Walking her dog with her radio. It's like a little transistor radio. I didn't think people still use those anymore. Very interesting, I think. So if anybody asks you if anybody still uses that handheld transistor radio, we just saw one. So I haven't decided what channel I'm going to watch election night on. I don't want to watch Fox News because they're going to declare states early. It really pisses me off when they do that. I didn't watch them the last two presidential elections, and I'm not going to watch them this one either. So I have to pick. When Trump won in 2016, I watched the bulk of it on MSNBC. That was glorious, watching them melt down. They thought they had it in the bag. Hillary was going to be president. You know, they issued Time magazine, had her on the cover as Madam President, all ready to go out after the election. And nope. Those copies are worth a lot of money on eBay when you can see them. I've seen them $150, $200. The ones with Trump on them is 10 bucks. But I bought one with Trump on it as a keepsake. I also have my yard sign from 2016 and other things. I also have a Donald Trump for president that was on the shelf at Walmart before Walmart boycotted the racist due to leftist pressure. So it was a full kit with articles about Donald Trump, where he grew up, how we got rich, and it's like this box set. And I bought one. And it's a nice keepsake. It's a nice set. It has Donald Trump for president buttons inside and things like that. Pretty cool. I also have a Make America Great Again picture disc on vinyl, which has all patriotic music on it. No licensed music, you know what I mean? The march they play for the president, and it's got the God Bless America on it and all this other stuff. So America the Beautiful, blah blah blah. I like little keepsakes like that. I got a little Trump troll bobblehead thing that my younger brother actually bought for me when he was working out of state. I got that on the shelf. So anyways, I guess it's time to sign off. I want to thank you for walking with me again. A little extended walk today. It wasn't planned that way. I just go where my feet take me. And thank you very much for walking with me. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. And more importantly, thank you for being here and being wonderful. God bless you and your families, and we will see you on the next walk, friends. Bye-bye.